Welcome into the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. Today's Niners Cowboys Week 5 preview on Sunday Night Football is presented by Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping on the best men's grooming products. Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy, they've been balling out all throughout this year. Clean up your balls with Manscaped. Promo code 49ers for that deal to apply. So it is Dallas week for the San Francisco 49ers, and coming up on today's show, we're going to preview this pivotal NFC matchup, which has a lot of implications. Kickoff set Sunday night, October 8th, Levi Stadium in Santa Clara. The game will begin 8:20 p.m. Eastern, 5:20 for those of you on the West Coast. The Niners, 3.5-point favorites in the early going of this week, and the total over-under for this game at 45. This is going to be an NFC heavyweight bout. I think that San Francisco and Dallas are two of the top teams in the NFC, and I honestly think that this game might be the most watched regular season game this year. It might go down as the most watched football game up until the Super Bowl this year, just because these are two blue blood franchises with worldwide followings and iconic brands. My NFC power rankings going into Week 5. I think that the San Francisco 49ers are the best all-around team in football. And I said that when a lot of people were trying to tell me the Miami Dolphins are the number one team in the NFL. And I said, no, defensively, they're not on par with San Francisco. I like the overall dominance that the Niners have been able to display offensively and defensively, and the premier talent that they have on that roster. They're so skilled at multiple different positions. Not only do I think they're the best team in football, they're the most talented in football. And then you add how Kyle Shanahan's been coaching this team, the job that Steve Wilks has been able to do. Niners are number one. At number two, it's the reigning NFC champs in the Philadelphia Eagles. Every game this year, they have found a way to win in a variety of ways, whether it's a defensive slugfest, whether it's a little bit sloppy, whether it's the offense having to carry the load like they did on Sunday against the Washington Commanders as they won in overtime, and they've won tough, close games. That's important for the identity of a team that has championship aspirations. I love what the Detroit Lions did in Week 4 as well on Thursday Night Football. I thought that they were excellent against Green Bay. That roster is legit. They are rallying around Dan Campbell and responding to his message. They're getting solid quarterback play from Jared Goff, good skill position players. Aiden Hutchinson is a stud. And if the Lions and Cowboys were to meet up in a game, I would take Detroit. I think that they're the better team. Now, going back to the history between these two organizations, it is a long, illustrious, famous, bitter history between two of the best organizations that the sport has ever seen. And you look at the previous 9 matchups that have taken place in the playoffs, including these two teams meeting in the playoffs the last 2 years. It all got started 1971 NFC title game in January of that calendar year, 17-10 Dallas win. The following year, NFC Championship game again. Dallas wins again, 14-3. And then the Cowboys able to rattle off 3 consecutive wins against the Niners in the playoffs with a 30-28 win in the divisional round. The Niners get off the schneid, and on January 10th, 1982, that's my birthday, the Niners able to win 28-27 over Dallas. January 17 of 1993, as there was about an 11-year gap from when these two teams had met in the playoffs. NFC Championship game, Cowboys win that one 30-20 in 1994. Once again, Dallas in the NFC Championship game. And right now, it's been the Niners who have responded here, and they've won 3 consecutive matchups in the playoffs against Dallas. NFC title game in 1995. They end up winning the Super Bowl that year, of course, 38-28. And then the last 2 years, Jimmy Garoppolo and the Niners go into Jerry World. January of 2022, they win that incredible NFC wildcard matchup. And then last year, Brock Purdy gets a second playoff win at 19-12 San Francisco. So the overall series with the Cowboys 5-4, but the last 3 games in the playoffs, it's been the Niners who have been victorious. And this is going to be ratings galore. Here on the Niners Report, I mean, all of our watch parties have gotten over 100,000 views outside of yesterday's game when we had a little bit of a delayed start. The watch party numbers for this game are going to be crazy. The television ratings are going to be wild because not only do these two organizations have fan bases that are spread all across the nation, all across the world, but other football fans in the AFC and NFC want to see how good the Cowboys are. They want to see how legit Brock Purdy and the Niners are. And there's a lot of interest in both of these teams to see how they fare. And they're also always national draws as well. So with that, my prediction's coming up a little bit later. Stay tuned for that. Who do you got? DAL for the Dallas Cowboys, SF for the Niners. You let me know down in the chat. As for how Dallas has fared so far this year, they are 3-1. Week 1, they shut out the New York Giants on the road 40-0. Week 2, they beat the New York Jets at home without Aaron Rodgers 30-10. They lost to the Arizona Cardinals Week 3, surprisingly 28-16 in a game in which they were thoroughly outplayed. And I think that they looked over Arizona to a certain degree. And I said last week here on the show, great teams don't look past opponents. The Niners haven't done it. They didn't have a trap game against Arizona. The Cowboys did. And then they beat the New England Patriots 38-3 on Sunday. But they really struggled in the red zone. They had a couple of defensive scores. And you look at this Cowboys schedule. It's not like they've played some legitimate opponents, some playoff caliber teams. Whereas the Niners, I think, have had a little bit more of a challenging schedule. Like you go on the road Week 1 against Pittsburgh, you win 30-7. You go on the road again to take on the Rams, who beat the Seahawks Week 1, and you beat them by a touchdown. You beat the Giants 30-12 on Thursday Night Football, and then you dispatch the Arizona Cardinals 35-16. Now, we have some fascinating stats coming up where you'll be able to get a grasp of how these two teams compare, but right now I think the Niners have had the more difficult slate. Make sure you join us on Sunday for that watch party. Pre-game show, once the game gets underway, live play-by-play, audience interaction, the best place to experience game day outside of being at the actual game. Niners, Cowboys, beat Dallas as it's Dallas Hate Week, and type F-Tom in the chat. He's the host of the Dallas Cowboys Report. New product alert, the Handyman from Manscaped. A lot of you are bearded gentlemen out there like George Kittle. Well, if that's the case, the handyman. George Kittle, a handyman because he can catch passes and he can also block for the San Francisco 49ers offense. You can get 20% off on this, but all of the best men's grooming products from Manscaped. There have been 9 million men worldwide who have purchased their products, and there's a reason why. They last a really long time, high quality. You also want to look good and feel good. You're able to do that with Manscaped, and Manscaped really taking the next step during Balloween, not Halloween, Balloween, to bring your face the cleanest shave it's ever seen. So this season, no need to toil and trouble. Manscaped's all-new Handyman, the best way to get rid of that stubble, featuring a compact design, next-gen skin-safe technology. The Handyman was designed to give you that smooth finish without the mess of traditional shaves. You know, Brock Purdy and me, we kind of have a baby face, right? We have a baby face thanks to the Handyman here. So see for yourself and check out all of their products. Manscaped.com/49ers. Promo code 49ers. 20% off and free shipping. I'm looking at the chat during our live show. The Smitty throwing in some scissors down there. That's next level stuff. All right, let's continue to compare how these two teams fare and how they pit up against one another. Dallas in 2023, you have offensive numbers to the left and where they rank across the NFL, defensive numbers to the right and where they rank in the NFL. Points per game, Mike McCarthy is now the play caller for the Dallas Cowboys. They've been very good. 31 points per game, that is fourth in the NFL. A lot of that is due in part to the Cowboys' defense, either giving Dallas' offense good field position or scoring defensive touchdowns. But either way, Cowboys' offense has been pretty solid through the air and on the ground. 360 yards per game. So that goes to show you it's not all the defense here. Number 11 among 32 teams in the NFL. Yards per play is interesting. 5.1. That is 15th in the NFL. I think a big matchup in this game is going to be the Niners' third down defense against the Cowboys' third down offense, because Dallas is converting on 51.5% of their third down tries. That's number 1 in the NFL. But Dallas on Sunday and Dallas all year, when they get inside the 20 and the field gets condensed and Mike McCarthy is trying to figure out how to call the correct plays, the Cowboys have been a bad red zone offense this year. That's a massive key in this game, and remember that going into Sunday. 36.84% of their red zone trips have resulted in a touchdown. That is 30th in the NFL. But then you look at their defensive numbers. Excellent. 10 points per game, number 1. Under 260 yards given up per game for that Cowboys defense. That's number 2. Yards per play at number 7. Third down conversion rate, number 4. And 1 red zone touchdown is really what they're giving up. They're number 1 in red zone percentage here of trips that result in touchdowns. 1%, I guess I should say, of red zone trips for the opponent have resulted in touchdowns. That's an excellent number for the Dallas Cowboys, so Kyle Shanahan's going to really need to be in his play calling bag once the Niners get inside that red area. So you look at Dallas here. Screenshot that, save it if you want. Now you can screenshot this one. These are the Niners numbers here in 2023. And this is why this is such an intriguing matchup, because these two teams clash and their strengths kind of counter one another. Niners offense, 31.3 points per game. That's number 4 in the NFL. They're number 2 in yards per game. They're number 2 in yards per play. Third down conversion rate, number 7. Red zone percentage, number 7. And then the Niners defense. I frankly like San Francisco's defense a little bit better than Dallas. I think they're better at all 3 levels combined. Points per game, not Dallas, but still very good. Number 3, 14.5 points surrendered. Yards per game, number 5. Yards per play, number 3. Third down conversion rate. You have Dallas great in that area. Niners defense, not great. Number 20. And then red zone percentage, where the Cowboys have really struggled. The Niners have struggled as well. Number 23 among 32 teams. So whichever team finishes with touchdowns in the red area and doesn't turn the football over might be the team that is victorious in this game. From that, we transition to this. My keys to the game, for the reasons that I just talked about, third down and red zone, going to be critical, in my estimation, in determining a winner for this football game on Sunday Night Football. The San Francisco 49ers also have to contain Micah Parsons. Now, with Parsons, we'll talk about some injury news here. We're going to have to monitor his injury status. Kind of had like a foot-ankle injury, lower body injury that he suffered against New England. He was out, came back in. And it got to the point where Dan Quinn was really just using him as a stand-up edge rusher, and that was it. Like, pin your ears back, get after Mac Jones and that awful Patriots offense as Bill Belichick is kind of on the hot seat. But for the Niners here, you have to contain Micah Parsons. And I told you this at the start of the year. I told you this after week 1 when Colton McKivitz struggled against T.J. Watt and gave up those 3 sacks and 5 pressures to T.J. Watt. Teams are going to continue to put their best edge rushers on the McKivitz side. Now, against Arizona, he only gave up 1 quarterback pressure. That's great, but those players for Arizona, not to the ilk of Micah Parsons. He's up there with T.J. Watt. He can wreck a game, force a turnover, and bother Brock Purdy just by his lonesome. So we'll monitor his injury status. We'll also monitor him on the field because he is a serious threat. Can the Dallas defense contain this San Francisco offense? You have the number 1 rated statistical defense in the NFL with the Dallas Cowboys. And then one of the most flawless offenses in the NFL with the San Francisco 49ers. You have Dan Quinn calling the plays, great defensive mind for Dallas. Kyle Shanahan, great offensive mind for the Niners calling the plays. What's going to give there? I can't wait to see how this matchup plays out, and we're going to get a good look as to just how good this Niners offense is or how good this Cowboys defense is. Purdy against this Dallas defense. Last year in the playoffs, he struggled a little bit, and especially to start off that football game, he was a little bit off with his accuracy. I think that he's coming off the best game that he's had of his entire NFL career, 20-21, on pass plays of 10 to 40 yards. He was a perfect 7 of 7, and the analytical efficiency of that game, one of the best performances of all time. But the Arizona Cardinals, while they do have a good defensive mind and Jonathan Gannon calling that defense as a defensive head coach there with Nick Rallis as their DC, that Arizona defense is not that Dallas defense. So Purdy, you carve up this Cowboys defense, and then people are going to be like, yo, the kid is for real, for real. And then for Kyle Shanahan, got to get in your bag. When you're in the red zone, get creative. Find a way to sprinkle the football and keep the Cowboys guessing all throughout the night. Kind of like the hitter at a dish, right? You're not sure if a fastball's coming, a curve, a slider, a changeup. For Kyle Shanahan, play calling wise, can he confuse Dallas all throughout the night with misdirection, with creativity that we're seeing that he's kind of adopted from Mike McDaniel. The run, pass, splits. Shanahan right now has been operating at a great level, and that's a big reason why this Niners offense is humming throughout the first month of the season. 30 points per game in the first 4 weeks for San Francisco to start a season for the first time in franchise history. So really, what this comes down to, what's going to give? These are two really good teams, two NFC powers, two teams who need this victory really to prove to some of the naysayers and the doubters that they are in fact for real. And the Dallas Cowboys rarely, if ever, win a game in a big spot, whereas the Niners have won a lot of big games over the last couple of years, and these two teams very evenly match. It's going to be like an old-school heavyweight bout when Mike Tyson was in the midst of his prime, and boxing was just a great sport. Like, you're going to have heavy hitters with some uppercuts, with some swings, and it's going to be a fantastic game on Sunday Night Football. Turnovers could be crucial. The Niners at home playing very clean football as far as giveaways go. You give the ball away once, twice, that changes the momentum, and it gives the opposition an opportunity to score. That could be the score that decides it. So speaking of the score, I want you to predict it down in the chat. I said a little bit earlier, I was going to reveal my score prediction. So drum roll, please. My score prediction for Week 5, San Francisco gets the 4-point win. They open up the week as 3.5-point favorites. They cover the number, and down the stretch, they prove to be the more legitimate team in this football game, and the Niners move to a perfect 5-0 with a statement win over the Dallas Cowboys. Thanks to everybody for watching. If you want Niners analysis every single day, I'm your boy for that, and this is the channel for you. Hit that sub button, and make sure you don't miss our watch party on Sunday either.